This is the Old Guy Network.
Welcome back to the Old Guy Network. I'm the Old Guy, the OGJ, and I hope you're having one heck of a good day. Welcome back to the trailer hood. It's really nice here. The sun's shining, and birds, squirrels, all that stuff. All that good stuff's happening. Had a few turkeys walking by here just a few minutes ago, so that's kind of exciting. Well, it is a Tuesday, and on Tuesdays, that's when I salute somewhere. Sometimes it's a country, sometimes it's a town. Today, it is a town, and I'm saluting Veazie, Maine. That's right, Veazie, Maine. You've never heard of it, have you? Well, that's okay, because a lot of people haven't. But that is where I grew up. The beautiful town of Veazie. It's right beside Bangor, and you might know Bangor because that's where Stephen King lives. Yeah, I live about 3 miles from him right now, so exciting, right? But Veazie was a historically, substantial town. It really was. Back in the old days, it was part of Bangor, which we just talked about. And there was a man named Samuel Veazie. He was a general. And he was a lumber baron and a railroad operator. And what good old Sam used to do is he would power the sawmills with the Penobscot River, and he would use his Veazie Railroad, and that's what it was called, to bring the logs in to be cut. And he was quite successful at it. But he decided one day that the taxes in Bangor were just too expensive. He couldn't afford them anymore. So what did old Samuel do? Well, instead of moving his whole operation somewhere else, he just took over the town, incorporated it, and it became Veazie, Maine, back in, when was that? Man, that was back in 1853, so a long time before I moved there. But I got to tell you, it was a great place to grow up. It was different then than it is now. Right now, there's just under 2,000 people living there, which doesn't seem like a whole lot of people, but when you consider the town's just over 3 square miles, and that makes it one of the smallest towns in area in the United States, we had enough people, and now there's 2,000 people there, just under 2,000. We had a lot of stuff to do in Veazie back in the good old days when we first moved there, and that was back in 1970. We lived on a road, and I'm not going to say the name of the road, but we lived on a road that had a quarter-mile stretch that was perfectly flat. And when we moved in, somebody had painted a line on it and said start finish. So they were drag racing right on that street. Didn't have to worry about the law too much back then because they only had a town constable. A constable? No, that doesn't make any sense. A town constable, and his name was Jason Bell. And Jason was a good old guy. He was there for, many, 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 many years. Nowadays, they have their own police force. They have a couple of cruisers. I think they have an unmarked car. The fire department has really expanded. They have several trucks. It's not the same town. If you take a look at here, this is the kind of trucks they had back when I was a kid. This was on the 4th of July in 1976, and we had a lot of fun. That's back when we used to have parades there on the 4th of July. They haven't done that in years. But if you look right here, this was 4th of July, 1976, and you see that big old clown walking around. I don't know who he is. But this guy down here, down with the number 32 shirt, yeah, that's me. I'm pretty sure that was me. I wore that shirt a lot. Back in the days when I liked O.J. Simpson, and he was number 32, right? Yeah, what do you think of the hair? I was blonde, and I did have hair, and my hair was always long because, well, I've always had huge ears, so I always wanted to cover them. Now I cover them up with headphones, but back then, yeah, I just grew my hair out long. But Veazie was a great place to grow up. It really was. It was the quintessential small town in the United States. We used to have baseball games almost every night in the summertime. We would go ice skating in the winter, and we did that mostly on my neighbor's front yard. The people who lived across the street, the Cooks, they had a huge front yard. It was more than an acre, I believe, and that's where all the kids gathered. We called it Cook's Field, and in the wintertime, Mr. Cook would have the volunteer fire department, when they checked the fire hydrants, he'd have them open up one of the fire hydrants that was on the corner of his property and flood his field. And that made ice, and we could ice skate for the whole winter, and it was wonderful. It was a nice little community. They don't have that there now. As a matter of fact, the people that own that property now, they've put a great big garden, a huge garden out front, so you can't do that anymore. So I kind of, I feel bad for the kids that are growing up there now. They don't get to do the stuff we did. We played baseball, soccer, football. We played we ice skated. We played flashlight tag. It was just a nice little community, and unfortunately, it's not quite like that anymore. Don't get me wrong; it's still a nice place to live. It's right between Bangor and Orono. Bangor, of course, Stephen King's there, and Bangor is an up-and-coming city. And Orono, that's the home of the University of Maine, the Orono campus, and it was a good place. I went to Orono High School because we didn't have our own high school. Veazie did have a high school back in the 1800s, but it was closed in 1901. And everybody goes to a different school now. Now we moved there for the same reason why Samuel Veazie decided to start his own town, is because the taxes were too high everywhere else. My dad wanted to move to Veazie. We looked at several houses till we found one, or he found one, and that's where we stayed. And we got to go to whatever high school we wanted. I went to Orono High. My brother also, he graduated from Orono High School, but he actually went to a couple of different high schools in Bangor as well. He went to John Baptist, and then he went to Bangor High for, I think, a day or two. He was at John Baptist for, I think, a whole semester. But he ended up going back over to Orono. And nowadays, all the kids go to Bangor, I guess. So, that changes. But the good old days with the old fire trucks and the big clowns on the 4th of July, I miss those. I really do. And it was a great place. It's still a great place. I drive through there every once in a while. My parents were there until their end, and it was nice. I have very, very fond memories. So today we salute the thriving metropolis that is Veazie, Maine. And isn't that nice? They got their own Wikipedia page. That's pretty good. This was the Veazie Tourist Lodge, which actually I found out years later was owned by a man who became my neighbor when I lived in another town called Holden. He was a nice old guy. His name was Chuck Crow, and he was a staple in Veazie for many, many years. So that's it. Veazie, Maine. If you ever get a chance to come to Maine, drive through Veazie. It takes about 30 seconds, and I'm not kidding. Like I said, it's just over 3 square miles, and I will suggest that you slow down when you go through it, because Jason Bell's not there anymore. They have their own police force, and they're really serious about their traffic laws. They really are. So that's going to do it for this edition of I Salute. And today I salute Veazie, Maine. Veazie. Of course, we just always spelled it just VZ because it's easier, and people are lazy. Well, at least I am. But that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit like, please hit share. If you're from Veazie, Maine, leave a comment. If you know somebody from Veazie, leave a comment. As always, just leave a comment. That's going to do it for the Old Guy Network. I am the Old Guy. I'm the OG, and I'm out.